Welcome. I didn't boy. I've gone slightly South African. That is the new flavor of this channel. It is South African flavor. I'm not entirely sure what South African flavor would be. No, genuinely don't have a clue because I've never really eaten South African food. So I don't know what its flavor would be. I'm sure there's probably some spice or some food somewhere that defines itself as South African. But I don't know what that is. Right, what do we got? What do we got? Okay. I think we've got everything sorted. It's all working this time, so that's something. Oh, hello. Oh, he's done it. He's hoping for the best. Is he going to get what he hopes for? Nobody knows. He's gone for Max Christmas as well.
Ho there.
Ho, ho, ho there. He's still Christmassy at the moment. In fact, Max Christmas is still working as well. So, welcome. Welcome, Mr. Blue Boosh. Let's pop on the background music, which is going to be Miracle of Sound. No, it's not. It is now. No, it's not. Are you serious? Why? Why you done this? What's wrong with this one? Right, that's fine. Yeah, I think I am allowing that. No. No, that should work. Why you not work? I don't know. Oh, what is that? Doesn't tell me what song that is. Pretty certain that's got nothing to do with what I was hoping for, but I guess it will do. Yeah, that's annoying. What? I don't quite understand which part. Alright. Yeah. That's disappointing. Hang on, let's try. I'm just faffing to see if I can get I don't think I can. Yeah, no, search the thing. Are you deliberately being a cock? Okay, no, you're not. But what? What? God damn it. No. I've no idea what it's playing, but I suppose it's playing something. I suppose that will suffice. It's just not quite what I was after when I when I looked it up. But I'm assuming you can. They're only premium, but it's weird that it doesn't specify that fact. I would fully expect it to specify these are premium songs only. Why didn't you purchase the premium? But there's no obvious evidence to suggest that. But anyway, let's carry on painting in some fashion. Right, we've got a couple of plans. So, first of the plans is we're going to do... I don't know whereabouts we're at in terms of camera. Probably slightly lower. And that would be about straight, so... it's probably straight enough. To do painting with fashion. I don't know about that, but still... I imagine you in a fancy fashionable hat. I'm not in a fashionable hat.
Ho there.
Ho there. There is Spider-Man in a fancy hat. Oh, I was going to say, is there a second hello? It's painting with fashion. No, it's painting on a Tuesday for no obvious reason. I had intended to do it yesterday, but I just ended up going, fuck it, I don't care. Which is unfortunate. But today I thought, do you know what? I will try my best to do at least a little bit of something. So let's get a little bit of that, couple of scoops, because I am sort of hoping to be able to reuse that in the future. Oh god, he says ho ho ho. He does say ho ho ho. And Pretzel unfortunately has decided to bugger it all up again. which is inconvenient to say the least. But yes, I updated it so that he uses the ho 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 variant. It's that weird after Christmas where days don't apply. Indeed, that's true. It's no longer Christmas, but it's not New Year. It's just that sort of weird gap in the middle. Right, let's have a look here. I don't particularly need a... Potentially. You thought it was Wednesday until 30 minutes ago. No, it is not Wednesday. Let's have a look. No. I mean, that one might work tolerably, but I feel like this is brush territory, just not necessarily that brush territory. But yeah, okay. So that the original plan is out, which I suppose is fine. So let's try and find an alternative. Did I do metal last time? I feel like I might have done. Oh, they're all locked anyway. So yeah, I suppose metal will suffice. Oh, this is the Viking guitar. That's the band name. The band appears to be called the Viking guitar, which I suppose is reasonable enough. Right, so the first plan is I'm going to paint his little stick there. I'm going to paint that black. I'm going to paint it black. Which should be relatively simplistic because it's just a stick. Well, I do have to be slightly cautious, of course, when painting near the present because, well, I don't really want the present to be black. Although, it could be. It's the whole thing painted in black. That end bit didn't really need to be black. This is Abaddon black again, as usual. For anybody scoring at home, I'm simply using Abaddon black. Trying to sort of piece it on. Don't necessarily want, know if I want it there, but it's strictly speaking part of the rod. So, but the rod isn't really supposed to be there. The rod just holds it up. Much like any rod in real life. Don't make the present black, you'll ruin the whole timeline. Oh, I see, yeah. I didn't quite understand the joke at first there. Fair enough. Oh. No, I think we're still okay-ish, mostly. But I figured I'd paint the stick black first, because then, theoretically, while I'm painting the inside of the chimney, the stick is going to be drying, and once the stick is dry, I should be able to utilise the stick as the ability to hold the model. But I cannot guarantee this. For now, we'll just sort of sloppily kind of punch this in the areas where it doesn't really matter. I'll probably have to try and be a little bit more cautious as I reach the top. Well, having said that, apparently I wasn't cautious there, but I don't necessarily want to sort of go on the inside of the hole all that much, because the hole is not... If I go too far into the hole, it might put a layer of paint there and then the present stick won't, well, stick in it, I suppose. Stick it in the hole. Eventually it will be stuck in the hole, but for now I'm trying to avoid it. Memory serves, I did sort of dry brush that side piece, internal side piece a little bit, and I may end up wanting to do so again. But we shall have to wait and see. So, I suppose usual questions apply. How are you doing and what are you doing? Are you doing well? I know, obviously, you've both ended up with the plague, so there's a very exact amount of paint you'll need to fill that a whole lot. Oh dear. But are you up to anything fun now? Despite it all? I know your painting desk, I think, is still out of commission for now, is it not? That's specifically Mr. Can't Sleep Must Paint. I'm assuming you're not able to get any painting bits done. I think it was suggested you were playing some Battlefield, potentially. Are you still playing some Battlefield? Or are you doing some other bits and pieces? If someone breaks your heart, that will make the heart void. I was listening to the lyrics. You're harassing the kitchen into shape. Interesting phrase. Doing a little better, still no energy. Started on Scarlet Witch. Who, what, where, I mean which. Oh, I see. Started on Scarlet. I assumed Witch is the problem. Because I know it's Marvel. My brain went straight to, oh look, it's Scarlet Witch. Which kind of ruined the joke. Started on Scarlet. Who, what, where, I mean which. I could paint, but it's not ideal. Needs some organising, that's fair. Was enjoying some Battlefield for a bit. Getting massacred. Oh, well, that's not great news. But I suppose arguably, as long as you're enjoying it, it doesn't matter too much if you're getting massacred. Ideally. That's going to want one more coat, although I probably won't worry too much about a second coat too close to the top. Just try and get the inside a little bit more sort of slightly smoother. So yeah, we'll just give that a moment or two. And we'll check the present stick, see if I feel like that needs an extra coat. No, to be honest, I think that's probably all good. I think his present stick. What does a chimney cost? I don't know. What does a chimney cost? Nothing, it's on the house, of course. I figured there was going to be a joke in there somewhere. Bazooka everything and hope is a pretty good tactic. I do remember I used to play Call of Duty. And I was one of those. Well, I wasn't always one of those. But I was very much... Eventually, the more times I died, the more likely it was I would bring out the... Fuck you all. I'm just going to use fucking Semtex. And I think there was one which was like you could trigger a grenade upon death. Or you triggered a grenade upon death, I suppose. And so eventually I just boiled down to, that's my strategy now. You're going to kill yourself when you kill me. And yeah, so I was very much one of those with the sort of undermounted grenade launcher, Semtex for days. I think it's Semtex. Fairly certain that's an explosive. And I think it's got a slight stickiness to it. Which is what, you know, they were sticky grenades in the Call of Duty I'm referring to. But I must admit, I can't remember which Call of Duty that is. But that's fine.
That wasn't so bad.
That wasn't so bad. Just trying to tidy up the black in the inside, but I mean, technically speaking, it's not going to make that much difference. I just want it sort of... What can I say? Even the bits you can't really see, I like to have as tidy as is humanly possible. Quite like leaving a landmine stuck to a vehicle and just parking it somewhere. 10 minutes later you get a kill alert. Nice. I must admit, I did enjoy some of the Battlefields I played. I'm fairly certain Battlefield is the one that years and years ago, I think one of their earliest potentially, but I'm fairly certain it was Battlefield Bad Company, where you ended up in the single player, you were playing as like the worst squad ever, and I really quite liked that idea. Just the daftness, and they were sort of quite comical characters. It was very nice. Used to enjoy in other BF style games getting a Chinook and loading it up with troops, then flying it out to sea. I assume the troops weren't that happy about you flying it out to sea, because I'm assuming they probably wanted to get into the battlefield. And welcome, Mr. Albion Craft. Hello, you beautiful bunch of people. I don't know if I'm not entirely sure you've seen us. Which arguably is more harsh to Mr. Blue Ocean Can't Sleep than anyone else here. I've just lumped you into the same ugly pile, but still. I'm being very impatient. I should just let it dry, but as specified, I'm being very impatient. Very impatient. It's because I just want to get the black out the way, because I've got a bit of a plan. And the plan is... Oh dear, the plan is for it not to ideally drop a load of frames, but still. Beauty is not just physical, that's fair. That's fair. I'll tell you what, I'll pause that and hope it doesn't booger it up. Beauty is not skin deep. Keep giving it a blow. That's what ugly people say. Harsh. But fundamentally mostly true. But yeah, essentially I've got a slight plan where I want to reuse the sort of black slightly. Have I done what I didn't want to do? No, it's alright. It's tolerable. Which is why I would like to get a solid coat of black on the inside of this chimney. Seemed like a really good idea to hold the brush while I did that in my mouth. But then I realised I couldn't really do the "whoa, face the black hole." But anyway, it was completely silent because, of course, I was holding the brush in my mouth, which was not helpful at that exact point in time. Come on. Dry, you bastard. Dry, you bastard. I could possibly do something else while I'm waiting for it to dry, but as specified, I want to try and hopefully reuse the black that's in the palette, but still. Everybody screwing one another. Oh yeah. I haven't really got anything else interesting on display at the moment. There's the angel again. The angel, my darling angel, stand by me. It's quite a nice little model. I didn't make that model, by the way. I mean, I didn't fully make the Spider-Man model, but I at least sort of adjusted it. Whereas the angel was just a download one. I've been here 3 minutes. You've already done more painting than Can't Sleep does in 3 hours. Well, you see, there's not as much chaos around here. So I can get away with just doing my little sort of dab the paint on. I might be being a little bit overly fussy. I think it's probably as black as it needs to be. I suppose I can always do a bonus coat later on, if entirely needed. Did we all have a Merry Christmas? Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Had a lovely little meal. And then had a lovely follow-up meal in the evening, which is always quite pleasant. Right, I think we'll call that there and see if we can't do the next step that I wanted to do. Right, so move you off to one side. Check if you are gonna leave paint all over my hands. Nope, as far as I can tell, you are not going to leave paint all over my hands. Which means, what are you? No, I don't think I want you. I think I want something else over here. I managed 3 dinners and 2 cheese boards in 2 days. That's quite impressive. You ate too much and you don't intend to stop. That's fair. Don't eat the cheese boards, you'll get splinters. Oh, dear. He thinks he's very funny, doesn't he? Alright, let's try and get a nice dollop of that. Maybe 2. Well, 1.5 dollops, I think. You made 1 dinner and you're not exploring the world. You're now exploring the world of air frying. I was going to say, was that air fryer? Was that a brand new toy for Christmas? Because I know I've heard Mr. Can't Sleep mention his air frying prowess in the past. But as far as I'm aware, I have never known Mr. Blue Boosh to possess an air fryer. So is that now... The camera, I think, is shaky. Actually, no. The entire desk is shaking, but the camera, as I've mentioned in the past, the camera is very much being on a separate desk. The camera is not actually shaking. I'd like to carry him, but I've been back at work for the last 2 days. Oh shit! That is unpleasant. That's not quite going the colour I wanted it to go. I must admit, you lot chatting about your air frying, I was slightly tempted to look one up, which arguably is the sort of is the first step, but doesn't necessarily commit to anything. Right, let's just try another dollop of black. There we go, I think we're getting slightly more what I was after. Or at least I think it will suffice. Oh dear, bloody customer won't pick up and isn't due until 6 PM. Oh dear. Blimey, that's an hour away, Jesus. One of us. Why is in taking a air fryer? Right, now then, I need to figure out what brush I kind of want to use for this. I think I'm probably going to use one of the old... I don't really fully know what the plan is here, but we'll see. Let's use the slightly sort of... I've got a smaller one than that. Yeah. I might do the trick. Or it might do a horrendous job. One of the two. We'll soon find out. Fry is a good word, in fairness. Including Stephen Fry. Right, so what the plan is, we'll go up the camera slightly. Get these bloody earbuds correct. I'll go down slightly more as well. Essentially, I just want to sort of do a sort of manual shadowing just at the top of the boots, sort of dragging down slightly. What doesn't work in an air fryer? That sounds like it's either a genuine question or possibly the other part of that is you know that Can't Sleep fucked something up in it and you're being facetious. I'm curious as to what it might be, because it does sound like the sort of sentence that could be, come on, Can't Sleep, come on, admit what you fucked up in your air fryer. You put something in it and lo and behold the air fryer didn't like it. Come on. Pasta, interesting. I'm surprised, but then not so surprised, but still. I must admit, I think it's doing nothing, which is unfortunate, but no. I suppose at the very least it's not fucking out. But, yeah, I'm not 100% sure it's really making any difference to the colour, which kind of makes it a little pointless. But still, there we go. Puppies would probably be bad in the, well, I don't know, it depends. If you've killed the puppy prior to putting it in the fryer, you'd end up with a lovely sort of puppy fried puppy, which, you know, technically it's all meat. So it might not be unreasonable. Whoops. Cock. And there we go. Certain sense of inevitability there. That wrist is really weak. But yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah. I'll have to stick a bit of glue on that. Well, I can't deny for now we'll just have to deal with leaving it, I suppose. Oh, Albion's curious as to what Max Christmas does. Probably won't be able to hear the Christmas song all that well over the thing, but still. Was Loika? I don't know what that was. Was Loika? Yes, it was Loika Noodle Vortex. The amazing Noodle Vortex. I imagine that was fun though. Fun watching it swirl around in its noodly vortex. Noodle Vortex. You will not believe the Noodle Vortex. It spins around. Alright, well, I think all in all, that did absolutely nothing to what I was trying to do, but there you go. I might try the alternate plan that was thought of, and we'll see what happens with that one. Which is older brush, and a little bit more of a sort of dry brushing motion. We'll see what happens. Dry brushing with pure black this time, so I'll probably drop back down here so we can possibly see it a little bit more. But the problem is if you have no paint on the brush. I want limited, a little bit more than you would necessarily go for traditional dry brushing, but nonetheless not a lot. They're not quite doing what I was after. Yeah, it's not so bad. I wouldn't necessarily classify it as good, but it's not so bad either. I'll try doing it on the other boots so that they at least match. Noodle Vortex sounds like they made the song. You never know. Maybe Noodle Vortex will turn up as a band here. Trying again to sort of get a slightly darker bit underneath the sort of. But as I say, I don't think it's particularly working. Well, at the very least, it's not working to the point where you can see it that much, which kind of makes it slightly pointless. But we'll carry on anyway. Even if you can't see it, we'll make sure everything's the same, because then at least, if you even not being able to see it, you can pretend. Right, now what I think we'll do. I think we'll do. Bit of black where I didn't want a bit of black there. Never mind. Generally, what happens? Do you lick your brush? No, I do not. And I never plan to, frankly. Which I'm sure may make me a worse painter, but I think it makes me a better human being. I'm sure there's some kind of science that suggests licking your brush has some merit, because everybody does it. But I do not plan on doing so myself, truth be told. Right. Don't know whether to go straight for it, or whether I want to build up to it. I might just go straight in. Once again, we'll use the small brush. And then, that's not quite what I'm after. It moisturizes. Right. I might be able to find another scrappy brush to do this with, but I should think this one will suffice. Right, let's see. I'll get paint off of me there. All your brushes have Rona. It's probably a little more extreme than I'd wanted it to be. Shapes the tip, yeah. Some of the best brushes are made by mouth. But you're also eating paint. Yeah. Well, one of the boots has come out pretty much how I sort of wanted, which is a fairly sort of dry brushy highlight down the mid of the boot to give it a bit of a sort of theoretical leathery look. The other one not quite so much. So, and the glove's got a little bit on it, but first boot was a little too extreme. I did it too much. But there we go. I might be able to sort of, could consider doing a sort of wash over it to possibly draw it back, but I hadn't really planned on doing so. Well, for now I think I'll just move on. as I often do. Just plough on regardless. Now we're going to try doing pretty much one of the sort of bulkier areas. It looks a boot right. Oh dear, 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 dear. You people and your shockingness. Right. A bit of that in there. A bit more there. Maybe three dollops. As usual, that's probably a little bit thin. I must learn to use slightly less water a lot of the time. I think this calls for the slightly basically, I appear to have a streak of blue on my thumb. I wouldn't usually care that much, but I know from past experience that sometimes, even when you've got dry paint on your hands, you can accidentally start dry brushing parts of the model you weren't planning on dry brushing, which is you know, a thing. Now, I just need to double check. I'm 95% certain I'm correct, but I just want to have a piece. Have a sort of reference. Oh, just double check everything. Can we, cartoon will probably suffice. Yeah, that's it. So yes, I'm correct in where I plan on placing the blue. So yeah, it's become a lot more awkward now because I've lost the stem I was holding onto, but we'll see if I can get the trousers and sort of back shirt done before possibly trying to fix that. But then if I wind up sort of trying to fix it, it may either make it stronger or it'll make it just as weak as before, but we'll see. But that wrist joint is a problem area. I made it a little bit too thin. I should have perhaps fattened his wrists up. And just to make it sure he wasn't feeling sort of outdone, I did sculpt a little bit extra on his arse, just so he didn't feel left out. You know, people always discussing Captain America's ass. I didn't want Spidey to get a complex, so I did give him a little extra sculpting around the backside. Tried to define his cheeks a little bit more. You can see it more in in the digital version, more so than the print. But, you know, it's Christmas, so we all know it's the thought that counts, and therefore it's the thought of Spidey's arse, which is the crucial detail. You're 90% paint now. What? Because you've eaten so much of it over the years. Plus, technically, you're probably close to sort of 95, because if it's 90%, if it's 90% gone through the mouth, you're probably going to have about 5% osmosis through the fingertips and stuff. %10 lead's probably not a good thing. That's probably about as much as you need. Oh wow, you used to melt lead on the fireplace to make lead miniatures. Wow. Found the moulds just the other day. Nice. You'll have to grab some photos of them and share them somewhere. Unless you already have, in which case point me in the direction of where you shared them. It's only 5% cream soda. That is probably true.
Never tell me the odds.
1, 3, 5, 7, 9. I'll always tell you the odds. I don't believe in even numbers. They sound like winning lottery numbers. And your bonus ball, 96. I don't think it goes as high as 96, but still. Can't deny it. It'd be very convenient to win the lottery. We're going up again, I'm afraid. I'll make you seasick eventually. We are sort of... We're in the delicate territories where I don't like doing it. I'm going to have to go full elbow support. Rather no seasick. The cat does it every morning. Blimey. Is every morning an exaggeration? Because you might have to pop to the vet. I know that our cat was... does your cat go out and eat grass? Because our cat always used to go out and eat grass, and that was always something that caused fucking throwing up. But your cat tends to stay indoors, so I don't know if it manages to get out and get its hands, or mouth I suppose technically. Oh. I was doing well, and then well then I wasn't. Oh, you got AstroTurf, have you? We've only got the fake stuff as well. But we nowadays, when we had cats, we used to have real grass. Not specifically for the cats, I'd like to point out. Yeah, they had a truly irritating habit of going, you know, basically it's like, don't eat grass. The first thing they do as soon as you turn your back on them, out there eating fucking grass. I explicitly told you not to eat the fucking grass. We fed it ourselves last year, second time to earth. It's a labour of love and blood and pain, and oh my god, nows. No, I think we got ours sort of quote unquote professionally fitted. And the only reason I say quote unquote professionally fitted is because I'm not 100% sure they were professional gardeners. They were blokes with equipment. That was, I think that's probably the best way to describe them. Which sometimes that's all you really need, but other times they do a semi-decent job, and you think might have been better to have gotten a professional gardener, but this is very much not my responsibility.
Who's sneaking about?
I'm assuming you're sneaking about in the attic. What are you doing in the attic? I'm assuming finding something in the attic, but still. Oh, to find the moulds again. Oh, I see. Oh, now I must admit, now I feel guilty. I didn't know you'd have to go to the attic again. I thought they were to hand. Or at least to hand-ish. Otherwise I wouldn't have asked to see them. It's a lovely pose until you start trying to paint it and then you think, fuck me. Must you be in such a sort of awkward position, sir? We've ended up in sort of maximum concentration mode because of all these fiddly bits. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, he's got fiddly bits because he's a Spider-Man. He spins a web in his eyes. He catches thieves despite his size. definitely going to be not entirely sure how best to approach this area. That's why he's being flipped all over the place. I wonder if this is... I'm not convinced because I don't think it would help. It's more the seeing than anything else. Seeing and getting the brush in without getting the brush on anything else, essentially. Which is a troublesome task at the best of times. Fuck's sake. Well, I really need to figure out a better way of holding him, perhaps. Let's clean off that brush and give him a moment or two to dry, and then we'll probably give him a second coat, because I think he's going to need one. It's winter after all. Tee hee 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 hee. Let's just double check I'm not going to put paint where I don't want paint to go, just because it's on my fingers. And then yeah, we'll try and just... Certainly some areas is not quite so much, but some of the areas I definitely need a second coat. And some areas need a first coat, in fact. At least we're looking over it and it's like, yep, no, that definitely needs a... That definitely needs more than... the one I was suggesting there. This crotch definitely needs to... I suppose arguably, that sort of spandex he's wearing, that's definitely going to wear on the crotch, isn't it? I imagine he has to replace that quite frequently. It tends to be an interesting balancing act, trying to find that point of confidence in the brushstroke versus overconfidence in the brushstroke, and that's where you either make a mistake or you end up making it look really good. Well, I suppose arguably there's also the underconfidence part as well, and that tends to fuck it. Yeah, that perfect position of confidence with each stroke. The belief that the stroke you're about to put down is not going to fuck it all up. Between underconfidence and overconfidence is where art lives, yeah. He's lost in the attic. Maybe. Maybe it's truly the gateway to Narnia. And he's gone off and been declared sort of like prince or king or something.
Fuck me!
Quite a reaction to Blue Bush being pronounced king. Or was that in relation to something else? But, welcome back, Mr. Albincraft. I wasn't sure if you were still present or not, but as you have sort of confirmed you are still present, have you had a go with your new toys yet? And I'm referring to the ones you posted in the Discord. Not that Discord, the Can't Sleep Discord. Your airbrush. You've been playing Disco Zoo. I have no clue what Disco Zoo is. I'm assuming it's something where you're trying to make brightly coloured animals? Or the animals dance? The animals dancing? You've got to sort your workspace out, that's fair. But yes, I'm slightly jealous about your rather delightful haul of bits you managed to get there. And yeah, I think everybody wants to know what Disco Zoo is. Between the 3D printer, Proxon and airbrush, I need to build a space, yes. You have got quite substantial gadgets. It's a mobile game. I figured it probably would be. But I am slightly curious. Do you have any further details regarding its... What do you do within the game? I'm assuming being a mobile game, it's not going to be that complicated. Ooh. Are you showing your sort of video game sort of snobbery, that's the word. And yes, I am. Mobile games aren't real games. I say that knowing full well that yesterday I was playing a mobile game for quite an extended period of time. But then again, I must admit, yesterday I was watching... I don't have to admit this, it's just a phrase. yesterday I was watching possibly one of the worst films I've ever seen. It was just shit. And in fairness, instead of watching it, I was playing, I think it's called DX2. It's a Shin Megami Tensei mobile game. And because I enjoy Shin Megami Tensei, I rather enjoy that as a mobile game. So that is quite something. Oh, I see. Interesting. You find animals and add them to your zoo. It's a tile flip puzzle type. Ah. Give that a bit more of a... I think at this point we'll probably... move on and at least get the red in there. What I'll probably end up doing is sort of just blocking in most of the colours and then going from there, really. I'm not particularly much of a sort of highlighter individual. I might give it a go, but my boots didn't exactly go to plan, so... And I'm going to have a challenge enough trying to get the lines all sort of worked out. But we'll see what happens. The disco part is how you wake them all up. Well, that just seems unfair. That just seems very unfair, waking up all the animals based on you loving disco. A poor elephant in there smashing its trunk against the door going, fucking shut that disco up. I'm a metalhead elephant. Disco is unfair at any given time. I don't know. There's good times for disco, I think. I don't mind a bit of disco every now and again. Right, so yeah, let's try and put a load of red in there. See if we can't... get the goop going. You've already seen elephants as smooth jazz. Ah. So you pronounce it. Okay. I'm curious. Were you listening to the stream and that's why you've said sorry was in Narnia again? Or is that a beautiful coincidence that you've also suggested you ended up in Narnia? Because I suggested it earlier on and I don't know how much attention you were able to pay to the stream whilst in Narnia. Therefore, I don't know whether it's beautiful coincidence or deliberate reference. Let's get some... I wonder if maybe that may still be too much water, but it's a lot less. Here we see, lesser spotted, there lived a certain man in Russia long ago. I have no idea. Is that a reference to something? Because it just went off. Just went off on a tangent. And I don't really understand the tangent. Right, let's try and get this red on him. He's got red. You've got red on you. Yes, yes, I do. Well, eventually I will. I'm just assessing precisely what we want red on, which is basically back, front, and at. Oh, it was as. Oh, you were referencing the disco song. Oh, fair enough. I don't remember the line, there lived a certain man in Russia long ago. Just, but I do recognise the song, because it's, Rah, rah, Rasputin, lover of the Russian queen. And he carried on, yeah, he carried on, he carried on. Well, probably when he shouldn't have, in fairness. He carried on when he shouldn't have, but... Let's try and get slightly around the spider. Ideally, not going to paint over that ridged area, because at some point I'm going to have to go in there, and I'm not looking forward to it, but at some point I do want to go in there and try and make that white. But I won't worry too much if I end up going over it slightly. But in order to hopefully allow for the least amount of sort of coats on the area, Terissus do a beautiful cover, incredible cover even. I've never heard of Terissus, or at least I don't think I've heard of Terissus. One of those things where you never know. Knowing my brain, a lot of the time where I think I've never heard of that, it actually turns out, yes I have. I just didn't know I'd heard of it. Mouldy pics sent are good. Good, I'm glad. I'm looking forward to seeing your mouldy pics, you dirty boy. I'll perhaps have a look next time I'm in a drying phase. I say next time I'm in a drying phase, in fairness it doesn't. It keeps ending up in a situation where it doesn't necessarily need drying all that much, because it's... I seem to have hit that balance where it's not quite as wet as it sometimes is. A folk metal band! No wonder I've not heard of them, because I don't know of much in the way of folking folk songs. It's a Fast Show reference for anybody unaware. Bob Fleming. Are you going to Scarborough Arse? If I was intelligent, I'd figure out a way of not dropping the fucking figure. But so far, I have not bothered trying to figure out a way of not dropping the figure. I think it's one of those ones where now the real weak spot's broken. I don't think anything else is going to break off of him, so it don't matter that he keeps falling on the floor. But there we go. There you go. It's part and parcel of the trade, yeah. I imagine there is a way of perhaps doing it a little bit better. Possibly blue tack him to something and try and pin him down in some fashion, but the only real reason to avoid him falling was that weak spot on the wrist, but obviously now that's a moot point because he's already broken at the wrist. I think his neck is thick enough not to go, but you never know. You never know your misfortune. It's when said mini bounces into the paint, that's when you have a valid cause to swear. That's fair, yeah. I think he'd struggle a bit more. He would struggle a little bit with that notion, but you never know your luck. Or lack up thereof. I suppose the only other bit that's going to go is the other hand. It does seem quite likely that his little tiny fingers. I made reference to this last time, but if you do check the official model's fingers, I think in terms of a person of that size, I'm relatively certain what they've actually done is chunked up his fingers. So they don't quite match what you would necessarily expect the scale of a human of that size to be. And you can understand why. Otherwise they'd be absolutely fucking tiny. But it was interesting to behold that you don't notice it unless you're particularly looking for it, I think is the key thing. I think I've researched precisely what's happening with his eye lenses. I can't remember off the top of my head. Okay, so black with a white inner rim. That's fine. That's mostly what I thought they were. It's just one of those ones where it's like, I just wanted to double check before I sort of reacted and did something that I thought, no, that's gonna, that's not quite right. You know, white is lucky because black usually goes nicely over things. So if I do screw up slightly around the eyes, there's always that second chance to hopefully repair the damage. Of course it would be nice not to have to repair the damage, but well, that sounds amazingly like Castlevania there. At least a little chunk of it did. That bit sounds incredibly like Castlevania. He's got an awkward sausage to get in this face part. That whole repairing the eyes thing is definitely going to be what's going to happen there, because we've definitely gone over them substantially to try and get this red done, but well, we'll need a second coat, but it's roughly there. I just want to try and tackle the hat, which is getting the same red treatment. I forgot to mention it earlier, but for those keeping score, the blue sections are simply Macragge blue, and the red is simply Mephiston red. I'm keeping it, simple. It's slightly easier for me at the moment. I do have a wet palette on the way at some point. I don't know precisely where that's... I think, as much as I could mix paints on the palette thing I've got at the moment, it's an absolute sort of, it's definitely a potential. It's because I have done it in the past. But it's a little bit easier not to, because sometimes it's nicer to be able to just go, well, I remember it was just that base colour, I can just grab some more out of the pot type affair. Makes life a little simpler. Whereas obviously a wet palette comes in handy because you can keep the colour you've mixed around for a bit longer, as far as my understanding goes. But yeah, I do have one on the way. It's just taking longer than I believe it was supposed to. I kick-started one of the latest ones. That'll be interesting to find out precisely why and when that ends up turning up. If it ends up turning up, I suppose, of course. There's always that possibility. But it won't, but one should usually hope for the best, I suppose. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. I haven't quite decided, because there's indents. If I don't know if bringing him closer to the camera, I don't know if you can see, there are slight, yeah, you can just about see it. There are slight indents a la the original model in the webbing. Now I don't know precisely how I plan on doing those, because I could potentially use a red shade, which should hopefully pool in those crevices and make it darker, or possibly Nuln Oil, which equally will pool in the recesses and make it a little more, you know, more, you know, whatever, sharp. Yes, I've gotten aggressive because I was confused. But I'm now looking at those moulds, and that's kind of cool. I mean, it is exactly what you said. It's, you know, it is a mould. But it is it's still fascinating to see sort of where it came from as a sort of thing. I mean, that's basically the original 3D printer, which is moulds and hot lead. But yeah. Oh, I see. You've even got the fucking ladle. I don't know whether you're here or not, so I'm conversing in a sort of open-ended fashion, but I'm assuming there's a ladle there with what I assume is lead pieces in for the sake of using the fire, and then that's nothing to do with the lead things. I don't think that's a set of traffic lights. Oh, the traffic light is the door to Narnia. I see. Oh, you are around. That's fair. Does the light say stop? It should. Does the light say stop? Hammer time. Stop. Wait for it. Go. Hang on. Stop. Crazy to think, that's a different sentence. Crazy to think those moulds are 35 years old. That is quite something. Do 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 do. Showing off. Show us your swirl. Yeah, so I imagine you'll be able to do a good swirl. Again, I don't know if Can't Sleep is there. Oh yes, he is. There we go. It might be drugs. It might be. And then what's the final bit here? Oh yes, you've got your defenders. Sweet Christmas. I tell you, the one I really quite liked of Iron Fist, someone did a Liu Kang version, and because I do quite like, I want to give Luke a hoodie. Can do one of his Black Man in a hoodie remarks. Okay, I don't remember those. I'm assuming that's from the series. But I mean, moulding of a hoodie would be fun. That would be very entertaining to see. Only if it goes well, I suppose. Although I suppose it's got its own entertainment value if it goes horribly wrong. But yeah, no, I quite liked someone did Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat as Iron Fist. And I kind of appreciated that because I really like Mortal Kombat. So, let's have a look. I think we are going to want to do... Yeah, I think we're going to want to do another coat of the red because it's a little bit mucky at the moment, so we want to try and sort of embolden that. I think it's probably wise to start on the chest again. I must admit, I kind of want to do inside the spidery bits, but I don't think that's practical. I've done as much as I could on the back in terms of getting inside the bits, but on the front that spider is very, very tiny. Get that arm. So I'm curious, what did people get for Christmas? We know there was an air fryer in the mix. Anybody else get anything of interest? We know a lot of Mr. Albion Craft's bits and bobs, of course. But I'm curious, is there anything we don't know? Anything you got for Christmas that we don't know about at the moment? Did you get anything fancy for Christmas? I mean, in fairness, did you get anything non-fancy that's practical, perhaps? I got some socks that Mr. Can't Sleep might be slightly jealous of, because they've got little stegosauruses on. Oh yes, I did see the Wookiee cookbook, the Wookiee book, the Book of Wookiee. How to cook a Wookiee in 2 easy steps. Shave, stick in oven. I want sticker socks. You got Peppa Pig ones. No, I managed to get some Stegosaurus socks. They are quite a nice sock, in fairness. Because they've just got the one Stegosaurus on the sort of ankle area, which makes them quite, nice and tasteful. it's time to have another crack at that hat. And then I think our reds are done. Have you cooked anything from your Star Wars cookbook, of course? Yet, I suppose that might be a little bit early to have already cooked something from the Star Wars cookbook, but you never know, there may have been a recipe there that you went, do you know what? I've got the ingredients for that, fuck it, I'm having a go. Right, well, I'd say we've got a certain amount of red, an amount of blue done. The reason why I've left that, because I think traditionally that's blue, question mark? Not blue. I think traditionally the spider on his back is red. Just hope that the word back is enough to... yeah, traditionally the logo on his back is red. I'm going to do it white because I want to add that little bit more Christmas colours to him. So I can get him sort of even more Spider-Santy by, or Santa-Spidey, whichever way around you like it. I have interchanged it every time I've said it, I think, but still. I traditionally consider it Santa-Spidey. Of some leftover turkey pasta sauce things. Sounds very interesting, but I'm sure pleasant enough. I ended up sort of having a double lunch today because I had leftover pigs in blankets. And they were running out of date. So I ended up having lunch, then going, oh shit, I was supposed to remember those. And I thought, well, I can't, there's no plan to include them with my dinner tonight. Probably could have fitted them in. So I ended up going, well, I've had lunch. Stick them in the oven. 25 minutes later, second lunch. Commence. Commence the second lunch. And it was most pleasant. But there you go. A bit naughty having an entire second lunch, but nonetheless quite pleasant. Right, well, the idea is now to apply the whites. We shall see how well this goes, because this is that point in time where you need a steady hand, and I don't really have that sort of hand. I very much have a hand that shakes about because it's trying to concentrate, but we shall see how well this goes. Probably badly, but there we go. We'll try to ignore it. I'll tell you what, because I don't... I'm going to use my secret stash of water for a drop of water there. Why do you have a secret stash of water? Because, oh, there you go, just in case you were wondering. Because sometimes I think it's probably unwise to dip my brush in the brush water for the sake of, well, it's probably too much water. Although it was only a droplet. But still. But I feel like the water would taint the white, and I don't want to taint the white, so pure water from a little pure water dropper is not too unreasonable. Right, well, let's have a crack. I think we'll start from the top. Start from the top and work our way down, perhaps. So we want to try and do his bubble. Come on, Spidey. Don't fret. I'm just gonna apply a little bit of paint to your bubble. Ideally, nowhere else. I should have probably made it a little bit more extreme. There is technically just a little bit of texturing on the bobble and the sort of other sandy, woolly parts that are present on the model. However, as I say, should have perhaps put a bit more on there, because I don't think I've emphasised it enough for the printing. One of those ones where it's an impressive job. The creators of these sort of the like MCP stuff, very impressive thing, because when you're just sort of working on a computer, you don't necessarily appreciate how it's going to sort of mould and print and stuff. Because of course you can just sort of zoom in on the computer and it looks fine. And that's basically what happened here. I zoomed in on my knobbly bits and they looked alright, but when actually printing you needed a bit more depth to your knobbles. But they should still serve the purpose. But basically the plan is going to be, and I don't know, I may change the plan, I don't know yet. But I'm thinking, at least initially, what I'm thinking is I'll do a base coat of white, then I might do like a shade, and then a generous dry brushing of white because of the novels, but I might change my mind, I don't know. That's the sort of initial plan that is in my brain. But as with many plans, when they come in contact with the enemy, you may suddenly decide, no, that's not how I want to execute the plan after all. But we shall see. Oh, you please behave. He didn't want to get in. He didn't want to adopt the position. And sometimes that's all you need from these people. Adopt the position. That's all I need you to do. Oh, it's your other arm. I want. Oh, okay. We've had our official Our first official sort of major balls up, well, I suppose when his arm broke, that was a fairly official one. But this one's more paint related than structure related. Don't know if there's going to be a way of sort of definitely not necessarily going to be a no, I think that's going to have to just be the way it is now. I suppose we want to do around the hat brim. Too sloppy again. Yeah, I think that was an inevitability about this next bit. There you go. Oh, interesting. We'll carry on doing the white, but there's one tiny section where the red just has not taken at all, which is intriguing. I'm trying to do the black of the eye glass thing is going to be slightly beyond me, but still. I mean, how doing the white of the eye room has been slightly beyond me, but still. We'll have to wait and see what happens on that one. We'll do the boot flappy tufty things first. just realised there's not a lot of camera coverage there, but oh well. I'm having to get quite close to the model. It's slightly difficult. I think as long as you you don't get close, it'll look alright. Which is basically the way I paint things. Try and get that without ruining too much. Yeah, that's not so bad. It's not good, but it's not so bad. Which really is the defining trait of everything I do. Not good. It's not so bad. Worst thing is I think it will need a second coat of the white on these areas. Well, having said that, if I do plan on sort of giving it a dry brush, maybe let's see. But I think it probably will need a second coat of this. Basically a second chance to fuck it up a bit more, which is inconvenient. I think it's technically on the camera, it's just I've got very large hands. Large hands, small model syndrome at this point. Well, there's the sort of major areas in one coat. What we want to do is do the back logo and the front logo. I'll get the front logo out of the way first, I think, because it's going to be troublesome. I'm curious if there's anybody still listening. Do people have plans for the new year? And by that I mean specifically as in the day New Year, not necessarily sort of, oh yeah, no, I've got a holiday in January or something like that. I mean, you can feel free to tell me you've got a holiday in January if you like, but I do mean it in a slightly more specific to New Year Day. Has anybody got any plans for seeing in the new year this year? Trying to paint all the minis before I get any more. Of all the jokes you've told today, that's definitely the funniest. I know the feeling. Well, I'll tell you what, have a sit rep. There he is at the moment. The logo on the back's not too bad. Although, yeah, I might need to go round the sides after all, I don't know. Depends on how daring I am, but... yeah, that's what he's looking like so far. Not terrible, but not great either. Looks better on camera, I think, in fairness. But now is the winter of your discontent. Made glorious by something or other. I don't know Shakespeare. Just try and... entirely sure the best way of doing this, because I was hoping sort of the edge might have helped me, but it definitely did not. So I mean, the fact that it's raised up is assisting somewhat. Not quite enough. So there's still a substantial amount of shit. A substantial amount of shittiness, yeah. For anybody who doesn't have New Year's plans, as in, again, specific to the New Year's Day, well, not the day, New Year's Eve, do feel free to pop along. I will be streaming my view of some games that me and Mr. Caliber will be doing. I absolutely fucked that one. I imagine most people will probably have sort of better things to do, but it will be there. We usually do it every year. Chances are, I can't guarantee any of this, but chances are it will be a little bit of Among Us with people, and then possibly Don't Starve, possibly something else entirely. It's always difficult to know for certain. I'm curious. I don't particularly bother with them, but fuck's sake. I suppose arguably one of my New Year's resolutions might be stop dropping the model. But yeah, does anybody have any sort of resolution they plan on sort of making? As I say, I don't particularly bother with it, so I wouldn't necessarily blame people if they turn around and went, I don't bother with that shit. But it is traditionally a thing to do. Let's have a look at him. You can see that the line is not particularly good. I mean, you can see there's a line, but it's not particularly good. Fucked it up there as well. Oh, fucked it up there. But I mean, he's serviceable to a certain extent. I mean, now I just want to decide whether I need to do another coat, and the answer is yes. In most of the places, I think. Probably won't do a second coat for those lines because they might just be decent. Plus, arguably, I should do the wash first, perhaps, and then I might end up having to. Oh yeah, there was that little bit of red that needed. Finding more and more places where that little bit of red needed more, but there you go. Right, let's do a relatively sort of reasonably swift sort of second coat in places on these boots. Drop him again. Drop him again like you did last summer. Not that I owned him last summer. But I'm very confused if he's roaming around in a Santa outfit in summer. But should have been more careful. Getting a bit slapdash now. Interesting. There was a cheeky bit of Mortal Kombat there. hands don't work when they're asked to do something that has even the tiniest amount of delicacy towards it. How much like, can you just hold the figure gently? And the hands just go, no. Frankly, I can't. And I'm offended. I am offended at you asking such a thing. I'll tell you what we'll try next. Whether it will work or not, I do not know. Where's the brush? Where's the brush? I have a special brush. There we go. And by special brush, it's not a special brush at all. I think we'll try using the red tone and seeing if that makes it good or makes it shit. If it makes it shit, that's going to be unfortunate and inconvenient, but I'm hoping to just be able to sort of ideally, probably going to be there now. This is in fact a lurk. I need to prep food items for human consumption. I just like to ho there. That is fair enough. I don't know how much more we'll be doing of this, but I'll say, can you could do with being a little bit lower potentially? Yeah, something like that will do. Well, now of course it's definitely awkward to get to the palette, but still. But yes, enjoy whatever foodstuffs you do in fact craft. Now we'll try not to screw Spidey off all that much. Although no promises on that front. But interestingly enough, in order to maintain a continuity with the colour, I want to shade his hat as well, which is what I'm doing now. I may not have actually had to say that out loud, considering the fact that it is at least theoretically on the camera, and you can see me shading his hat. But just in case you thought, well, that shade's not going to do much on the hat, it's not got anything to go in. But on that occasion, it's a bit more sort of trying to get consistency out of it. With a bit of luck, what will happen is the colour will dry the same as the colour we've got everywhere else. And I will try and post a pic of Spidey, but I must admit I wasn't necessarily planning to until he was finished. There we go, he now has a bit of shade on him. At this point, that shade might take a reasonable length of time to dry. Although having said that, it looks like it's drying reasonably swiftly as it stands right now. So let's deal with... I'll deal with this present. Try and get the base coat on that present, and then we'll probably leave it there. And then I'll see if I can be bothered to do much more. I do need to do the lenses. I need to try and go around the black on the lenses. That's not quite as bad as it looked like from a distance. I do need to pick out the belt buckle as well. And then we might try and sort of... I don't know. There's sort of all sorts of internal highlights and stuff you could try and do, and I don't know if I want to, because it's very much a sort of like, oh, it's difficult, and I don't really do difficult. In difficult, I've had a few relationship problems in the past, and we've never been one to, we've never really hashed it out and worked out a solution to our issues. Oops. And what we'll do is we'll raise the old camera back up. Possibly like that. Or is that worse? Alright. That wasn't the way I was thinking. But what I'm going to do is pop a little silver on the present. And then also pop a little gold on the present. The general idea for this is silver on the inside, and then a gold ribbon. In some ways, it can make life easier. With the fact that this broke off, of course, because I don't have an arm in the way of painting this piece of the present. But I would have, I don't know, I would have preferred it not to have snapped. Fortunately, I mean, with the silver, I can be a little bit slapdash and haphazard, which is beneficial for me because it's kind of the only settings I have. Because I'm going to go over the ribbon in gold, it's not going to make too much difference. I must admit, it's why I like the way I do my bases, because that allows and encourages a certain level of slapdash. And again, as I usually do, just for people keeping the score, this is Runefang silver. No, it's not. Runefang is not a silver in the first place, for starters, and for seconds, that's not what this paint is called. This is Stormhost silver. It's Runefang steel for anybody unaware. Maximum concentration, trying to just get a little bit in on the fingers, but I'm not necessarily willing to go too far into the fingers, simply because it's probably not worth it for starters. Getting around those fingers is a pain in the arse. one first. Like that. Get in there. I think there was a whole section I'd forgotten. Well, I suppose it can't really have been forgotten if I had a feeling it was there, but so I think we've gotten pretty much everything, at least one coat there, apart from the one slightly awkward area, which is this one. Which I'm going to call it an awkward area, because the pole doesn't make too much difference. I suppose it won't be that awkward, but I think we'll give each one another sort of second sweep, because some of them not too bad, but a couple of them definitely feel like they need a little extra on them. In this game, I can't deny it, paint feels like it might be a little bit thick. Okay. That's one of those age-old ones where I can't quite win. Well, let's hope the gold can cover the silver, because just managed to do the usual sort of thing. Dip the brush where I hadn't intended the brush to go. And I'm trying not to have to sort of basically not to have to do that, but I think I've basically rotated it a full thing and therefore didn't actually improve the situation, but at this point it's literally just my hand on the camera, but it's fine. You're not missing much, I assure you. What I do find slightly intriguing with doing that, it's interesting when and how and where the sort of where you sort of discover bits and pieces of the 3D print, because on the present it feels like it's really highlighting the sort of layers that it does, and yet on the I did simply after the base coat, it didn't seem to have quite such an emphasis. So as I say, mildly fascinating seeing where it sort of has and hasn't done these things. Right, so we'll try and do the gold as potentially our final act. When I say that, I probably want to wash it as well. Because traditionally I think you would use a little bit of Agrax on the gold and Nuln on the silvers, but I think I'll probably just go straight Nuln across the entire present, just to pop the silver and pop the gold a little bit. And I do sort of plan on trying to remember. Ah, Tina Sora, welcome. Haven't been having the best day right now. That is unfortunate. My day's been tolerable. I mean, I haven't really done anything, apart from this perhaps, but outside of that, it's not been unreasonable. But very much yelled at and chewed out. Oh dear. And what prompted such a thing? My paint is way too thin. Grades from college. Ah. What subjects are they? If you don't mind me asking, of course. I think we might be better to start again. Hang on. Oh, education. Education. I need elocution, it would say. Education courses for you to become a teacher. Huh. That's a noble pursuit. I must admit. What sort of teacher? Because I can't deny, when people say teacher, I automatically sort of assume relatively young children. And I must admit, I don't think I can stomach that sort of thing. Elementary 1 to 6 grades. I'm not sure of the grade system. Is that that does sound elementary is I think secondary school, so that's in the teens, is it? Or at least sixth grade I'm assuming sort of heads towards teens. So that is, yeah, that's a noble pursuit. As I say, I don't think I could stomach being around children that much. Six to 12, okay. Apologies for frequent bouts of silence. It's the silence of concentration. Trying desperately to stay within the lines, which is made slightly easier by the fact that the thing is raised up, so theoretically gives you a little bit more leeway, but never a guarantee. So what sort of What sort of courses are required to become a teacher? I'm assuming elementary. Oh dear, fuck that. Excellent. It's slightly easier because it's raised up. Turns out it fucking well isn't. I have to hope that bit of the present isn't. Yeah, it's not the focal point, I don't think. I don't know. Is that sort of? Do you have to have like a general thing for that, or do you get to focus in on a specific topic? Because I'm assuming sort of 6 to 12-year-olds don't tend to go down the sort of specific class route, do they? They tend to go for sort of, they get taught everything by the same teacher. Another one where I'm going to have to be diligent and do sort of 2 coats there. It's always unfortunate because I am just phenomenally lazy. We'll do the underside. It's subtly easier than doing the bit where the hand is. Cock. He says fucking it up instantaneously. Now the final bit before we need to do second coat. And this bit's the really fiddly bit, I think. Try and get a good grip on it, but quite difficult. It may not be on the screen at this point, but one of those occasions where I don't get I need it where my eyes and hand can do it. There we go, first coat, and that's not too bad. Do a better place than lying it down on a potentially wet area, but never mind. So, as you've just joined, I will just put forth what we've been up to. We got a chimney there, chim chimney, and that chimney has a Santa-Spider, or Spidey Santa. Santa-Spidey. Santa-Spidey is coming down your chimney tonight. He had a bit of an accident earlier, so he theoretically should look something a bit more like that. but unfortunately I snapped his wrist earlier, which is inconvenient to say the least. But there you go. So what we ought to do is try and get that belt buckle done, which is easier said than done. Have to be very careful precisely where I place him. Super careful application of paint. Or, you know, not super careful application of paint. So both options. There we go. As with most of it, it's not so bad. It's not good, but it's not so bad. Right, at this point, we want to do that second coat of even if you can't see it, you know it's messed up when you just hear the dulcet tones of bollocks. And one slight disadvantage here is I've lost track, slightly lost track of which ones I've done and which ones I haven't done now, but theoretically shouldn't be that difficult to spot if they need it, if they need a second coat. I think it's safe to say that any that require a second coat have had their second coat. Any that didn't require a second coat do not require a second coat, because I can't see. Likewise, I think his belt buckle's probably okay as well. A bit sloppy, but that's how it goes. And I'll get the old shade brush out again and give a, well, I'll give it a moment or two just to let that second coat dry, because otherwise I'll be smearing paint all over the place. And we'll drop down a little bit closer, since we're going to be doing a bit of shade rather than anything else. But yeah, you can also just have a quick butchers at that belt buckle. Again, the camera is doing him so many favours. I think if you get close enough, you can see where I've gone over the edge of the buckle, but the camera does seem to do 1,000,001 favours to it, which is, I suppose, as long as it's only ever seen through a camera, which means if I ever field him on the battlefield, what I'll have to do is just go up to the players and go, no, you're not allowed to look at the field normally. You're not allowed to look at it with your eyes. Look through this camera. There we go. See, now the model looks excellent. Can't say that. That's generous, but still. So for anybody wondering, I'm just going to smear this with Nuln oil, which I think is going to be obvious because it is on the camera, which should sort of emphasise the crevices whilst also sort of it does things to silver, and by things I do mean good things. Should really keep that stroke the same direction, I think, but don't honestly know how much difference it's going to make at this stage. But you do want to try and get it sort of fairly evenly coated. Have I done that side? I think I have done that side. God damn it. Again, with the nature of the cube, it's surprisingly easy to lose track of what you have and have not done. Now the one thing I don't particularly want to do is shade the hand, because then it won't match the other hand. May not make that much difference if there's a little bit on the fingers, but isn't necessarily something I want to have on there. I'm just sort of trying to make sure it's all even, as much as is possible. Which is why I'm not going to apply any further shade. I'm just sort of basically moving pre-existing shade around the model in the hopes not to get it to, not to have it end up pooling too much in any one area. I don't know if that's right, but it feels right. Don't ever take advice from this, but I'm kind of slightly stuck because I think I have to hold it. Having to hold it now, which is awkward. I'm gonna have to do everything ever so slightly one-handed. Always make sure you close your known oil, because otherwise you may find that you fuck it. Well, it's gone now. I was working on a cunning plan, but that cunning plan is not going to plan. There we go. It's still not worked as well as I was hoping it would, but it is in. I've put it in the chimney in its correct location, but so that it can dry without hopefully screwing anything else up. But yeah. Right, so I suppose. I mean, I don't really want to. Oops, I don't really want to do that either. Fuck's sake. And presents! Indeed, a present, Mr. Onibushu, welcome! Right, so we'll go back up. Maximum raise of the camera. Oh, that's probably a bit extreme, actually, truth be told. But what we need to do is try our best to do the most delicate area of the entire model. Welcome, Mr. Onibushu. How are you? We are painting Spider-Man. Specifically, no, that's too much water. Specifically, Santa-Spidey. That's probably about the right consistency. We have gotten a reasonable distance can perhaps be seen here. He is mostly in his sort of base colours. It's not incredibly good, but you know, sometimes you just gotta go with it's good enough. Which unfortunately is basically what I always have to go with. You got a 10-6 bowl game post-season, so that's nice. So now I can only think of them using bowls instead of balls. Okay. Oh god, I hate it so much. And you got a few achievements for that 100% OJ. Oh yeah, yes, sorry. Because you mentioned achievements, I thought 100%, yes! And then I realised that's the game, isn't it? 100% OJ. Or is it? Yeah, it's the little board game. I believe I do own that game now. I just haven't quite gotten around to actually playing it. I once again apologise if you end up not being able to see anything. It's doing such a delicate part right now that really it's kind of much more important that I can see it than you can at this point. 251 out of 271. Nice. Getting there. Okay, so I think sometimes you have to know when to put the brush down. And I think at this point in time is where I'm declaring that this is where we put the brush down. At least for that bit. Must admit that presence ended up looking a little bit dirtier than I'd intended it to. I do plan on giving it a little bit of a dry brush though, so I might be able to get away with it. But one of the things I was going to do is with this little bit of spare black, just give the inside of that chimney a touch up. Hope it just have just enough to get that black, just that a little bit more black. It's not going to be Vanta black, but it is going to be ever so slightly blacker than it was, and that's what we're after. 4 of those that just require playing the newest characters 10 times each. Well, yeah, I don't mind that sort of achievement sometimes, because that's just play the game, put the effort into playing the game, and I don't mind that sort of one because it's pleasant. But there we go. I don't know how clear it's going to be on the camera, but you can just about see he's got his eye rims as previously specified. They're not incredibly good, but they are good enough. Now, do we have just a little bit? I need that brush just a little bit wetter. Just need a little bit weld. That's the point where I fuck it up because I've been. Yes, it is the bit where I fuck it up because I've been too lazy to get new paint out. There's also a cosmetic unlock. Well, that's not too bad. Right, this time we'll be partly lazy, but not fully lazy. There we go. It just didn't seem worthwhile. It didn't seem worthwhile watering down a whole, the whole paint thing again for the sake of one small part. Now let's get probably you. Yeah, I think we'll go with this one. Every time I think I'm going to sort of stop, I think of one extra thing that will be beneficial. But I think trying to sort of do some silvery dry brushing. I must admit there's possibly a little bit of red still in this dry brush, which may end up making this terrible, but still. Unfortunately, I'm ending up dry brushing the gold with silver a little bit too much. It's not great news. But there you go. That's the way things go. Yeah, not necessarily say it was the best looking present in the world, but I can always go over it again if it particularly needs be, I suppose. Again, I'm being too lazy, not wanting to go over it again. Just removing some of the bits where I've fucked up the blackness of the pole, which may be premature because I may end up fucking up Bit to the pole again, but still. There we go, let that dry. And now I suppose what might work. Trying just as a sort of most simple of edge highlights, but I must admit, as is so often the way, I can barely see the bastard thing, so it makes it feel somewhat worthless, but still. Houston from a smaller conference is 11-2. Auburn from the best conference is 6-6. And apparently the Illuminati. I can't imagine they are the Illuminati. So which is better? In what way which is better? Because if you're asking me which is better in terms of Houston from the smaller conference, Auburn from the best conference, I have literally no clue. I understand what all the words mean in independently, but do not understand what the words mean altogether, I fear. Now, there it is. That's what I'm after. Listen to it goopin', listen to it goopin', everybody, everybody, listen to it goopin'. Old MacDonald had a goop, E-I-E-I-O, with a goop goop there and a goop goop there, here a goop, there a goop, everywhere a goop goop. Old MacDonald had a goop, E-I-E-I goop, with a goop goop there and a goop goop there, there a goop 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 goop. It's me shaking the paint if you were wondering. And it sounded like a mental breakdown. Well, I mean, it was probably quite close to a mental breakdown, but we try not to discuss the mental breakdowns. It's a topic of much discussion in college ball, because there's 130 teams and only 12 regular season games available, so some teams get radically different schedules. That seems like it could prove unfair to some areas. Well, here's the point in time where I'm going to claim my thumbs are too big for this. I'd be a better miniature painter if I had smaller thumbs. Probably not true, but... In fairness, that mistake wasn't anything to do with my thumbs, that was just heavy-handedness. Which is mostly, in fairness, is most of the problem I tend to have with this generic heavy-handedness. There we go. I've made the attempt at highlighting, but it's not incredibly good. So I think really that the Nuln oil I think was a mistake, but we shall see. Anyway, I think that's probably going to be it. What I'll do, give that present a moment or two to dry, and then I probably will try to reattach it. I don't know if I'm doing that too early or not, but I think for now we'll try and reattach him. So right this very moment, what we will do is say goodbye with the camera, at least. I'm not quite saying goodbye just yet, but we'll say goodbye to the camera, and then we'll pop over there, and then I will rearrange my position. So I'll mute the mic for a moment, but I will be back momentarily in a secondary position. There we go. I'm in a slightly more traditional position, sat upon the chair at my desk. I'll tell you what we'll do. We will drift the old pretzel off for now. And so, there's nothing I know of on tonight. So the next time, technically I suppose, I will shout myself out, see what we get clip-wise, because as far as I'm aware, the next person of interest streaming is going to be me again tomorrow afternoon, where I don't know, where I might do a little bit more on Spidey, try and sort of really finish it off, but then I might do just general gaming goodness. So let's see.
Immediately accessible. Just ask if you need a refresher.
Oh, is this the barrage of hellos? I think this might be the barrage of hellos.
Oh, here we go.
Yes, it is.
Go.
Hello there.
Hello
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi. So many Kenobis.
Fuck me!
Fuck me, fuck me, fuck me.
An immense volume of Kenobi fucks.
Several more. We are inundated with Obi-Wan Kenobis. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello.
there.
Hello there, hello there, hello there, hello there, hello there, hello there, hello there.
And then he scampers off like the little scamp he is.
We have run out of hello there's.
Again, I can't help but look at that and think of regular bowls. So after the Birmingham, Alabama, know that one. I say. I was going to say I don't think our Birmingham's going to be in it, but the Birmingham Bowl ends. Yeah, it was a tragedy when the Birmingham Bowl ended. They were so happy. They managed to get that thing spinning up on the old clay spinner, and they were going, "Yep, we've been at it for days. Oh no, it stopped." The Birmingham Bowl has ended. We have the First Responder Bowl. Again, I can't think of anything other than the food receptacle in terms of bowls. So the First Responder Bowl is just what the ambulance driver has his breakfast in. The Liberty Bowl, you can drink sort of freely. You can freely drink from the Liberty Bowl. The Holiday Bowl, that's where you keep your eggnog. And the Late West Coast Start for the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, that's what you find in a bank. we're giving away a particularly good mortgage rate, and here you have a commemorative guaranteed rate bowl. Is originally a type of stadium. I must admit, I wouldn't have known specifically that it was a type of stadium, I don't think. But I did certainly know it's not meaning, literally the eating receptacle. I knew it was in reference to the football in some fashion. But I don't know if I would have been able to say, yes, it's to do with stadiums. But anyway, if you enjoyed painting, then you will also probably enjoy Mr. Can't Sleep Must Paint, who I believe is back to streaming tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So let's check him out.
But why are you being so noisy today? Reveals as a teacher. No!
His painting is substantially more advanced.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, your name has no link to a name. It'd be very clever if it was. My beat's gone.
And when he does make a boo-boo,
Want to see a fun game? Right.
he knows how to fix the boo-boo.
Welcome to a serious painting stream.
Oh, that's the boingy bird, yes.
This is how I want it. Today it's doing this again.
Boingy bird, boingy bird. Look at it go, it's a boingy bird. Oh, look out. The boingy bird is here now. The boingy bird is here now. The boingy bird is here. Anyway, that's pretty much us done for the day. I don't know how many people are present. How many people? How many boys? How many girls? And how much noise? Don't know what that was all about. But it looks like there's a few people. So I suppose we could try and engage with another individual in some fashion via a raid. But I can't deny I should probably be going and doing my dinner. Do 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 do. Well, and that's certainly an option. I feel like that's a bit sort of. I can't be bothered to find one. I'm too lazy for my shirt. Too lazy, baby, it hurts. Too lazy by far. So the bowl game they hosted between the Pacific Champion and the Big Ten Champion became known as the Rose Bowl game. Eventually, the game in New Orleans, the Southeast Champion and one of the top at large bids became known as the Sugar Bowl. Excellent. Excellent. The Sugar Bowl is here. And you have returned for the ending, I'm afraid. Yes, we are literally just putting it away now.
Fuck me!
Ho, 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 fuck me. Goodbye, ho, 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 ho. And a professional version of the postseason football final became known as the Super Bowl. Super Bowl. I do remember. I don't particularly watch him much anymore, and I can't actually remember his name. No, it's gone. Jack's Films. He did quite an amusing one where it was like, Super Bowl, I've got my Super Bowl. And it was actually a bowl, and he sort of smashed it on the floor, and it was like, I don't know if I understand football. Something along those lines anyway. It was weird. But yes, anyway, I'll tell you what, I'll perhaps find you some ducks to go to, or something else. I feel like there is a setting. I can never remember what. There we go. It's animals, aquariums, and zoos. That'll do. Let's try and find you something interesting, maybe. No guarantees. Let's try and find something interesting, maybe. No guarantees. Oh, there may be nothing of interest, but then there may be an odd little creature. Oh, I'll tell you what, that looks interesting enough. I don't know whether it's actually a live feed. You can never truly tell if they are a live feed or a recorded feed, but I don't suppose it matters that much. But anyway, yeah, here we go. We'll pop over to this place, and it's fairly obvious. It's fairly obvious what they're going to be, because it specifies it in the title. Anyway. I will start the raid. I will then, well, I'll say cheerio, then start the raid, and then turn it off. Unfortunately, now I'm on the raid screen. I can look at it on my other device. Fiesta Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Orange Bowl, Peach Bowl. That's the one in the Mario universe. Citrus Bowl, Gator Bowl, Pinstripe Bowl, Cheez-It Bowl, Alamo Bowl, Duke's Mayo Bowl. Now that is definitely not a real football game. That is not a real football game. That is the Duke of York, and he's got himself a bowl exclusively for his mayo. Music City Bowl, Las Vegas Bowl. Some of them have very old and traditional names, being played for decades. Some of them are corporate sponsored, of course. I'm assuming corporate sponsored, surely the Mayo one, and much more recent. Anyway, I will say cheerio, start the raid, and then I will have some dinner. Dinner, Spider-Man. Anyway, cheerio.